People around the world, people around the galaxy, ever since the first episode have started to love The Mandalorian. And don't forget, there's a new episode in 2 days. Can you believe it? I can't wait for that episode. But early on, there's just been an early positive vibe to the series. And although we, the fans, love it, you know who I started questioning about? I started thinking, what does George Lucas think about The Mandalorian? He was on set. Don't forget, we have these photos to confirm that George Lucas was on set on The Mandalorian, at least for one episode, and possibly gave his input. But what about the overall series? What about the entire season? What does he think about The Mandalorian so far? Well, guess what? We kind of have an answer from Disney CEO Bob Iger, though it may not be as telling as some of his thoughts that we were hoping. I mean, Bob Iger said that George Lucas did visit previously The Mandalorian set and didn't have any complaints to say. This is the quote that Bob Iger had upon George Lucas visiting The Mandalorian set. After talking with George Lucas, he said to the media, "George has been fine." This sounds super vague, although it's worth noting that so far George Lucas has been a very tough critic when it comes to his previous franchise, and everybody has talked about it by now. I mean, we had videos talking about Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, and even J.J. Abrams admitting that George Lucas was ultimately disappointed with The Force Awakens because, yeah, it was basically a carbon copy of A New Hope. And then Bob Iger went on to reveal that he complained about Episode 8 as well, stating that George Lucas said he didn't feel anything new upon watching The Last Jedi. And so far, believe me, it's clear that George Lucas has no problem voicing his distaste or disdain for what Star Wars has become in his eyes. It has definitely morphed out of his control back when he had control with Lucasfilm. Now Disney has taken over, and I think, you know, quite clearly he has been a bit disappointed and bitter ever since he sold Star Wars to Disney. But the quote from Bob Iger about The Mandalorian, George has been fine, I mean just fine. He didn't rave about The Mandalorian. That should say something about George Lucas, meaning that he is definitely bitter at this point. I mean, The Mandalorian is as close to Star Wars as we've got in a lot of years. And to still not be overjoyed and excited about The Mandalorian, and to be just mediocre at best with your emotions, George Lucas, in my eyes, does have a grudge to bear. Just a tiny bit, but I think it will be over soon. I mean, Disney has been pushing for George's involvement for a long time now, ever since The Last Jedi, and now with The Rise of Skywalker, reportedly George Lucas had some input in it, and with Solo as well, we know that, even with an episode of The Mandalorian. So, tell me guys, what do you think? Does George Lucas hate The Mandalorian, or does he love it but hate to admit it? Talk to me down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you go have an awesome day, boys and gals, and I'll see you in the next video.